Hello, my name is Kelsey Manderville and I'm a speech language pathologist. I'm going to talk a little bit today about how to access speech pathology services here in the Miramichi region, a little bit about what a speech pathologist does and how we can assist with a child with autism spectrum disorder. A little bit about the expectations for being involved in speech therapy, and I'm going to touch a little bit on some alternative ways of communication. So first of all, how to access speech therapy services for a child or even an adult with autism spectrum disorder. So first of all, if you have a child in the preschool age range, services are available at the Miramichi Hospital. They offer services in both English and French, and you're able to self-refer to the hospital services. So just give the department a call. You don't need a doctor's referral to be involved with that service. So that's one way. If you have a child that is school-aged, there are speech pathologists hired by the Department of Education that are assigned to each of the schools in the Miramichi region. So in both the Anglophone and the Francophone districts, there are speech pathologists hired. And they will provide speech therapy services right at the school for the children there. And if you are looking for some supplementary services, or if possibly there's an adult that's looking for a little bit more services, there's also private service options. So I myself offer private practice services at Peak Performance Health Center. So if you're interested in that, you can give me a call there and I'll be able to help you out. There are also several other speech pathologists that are in private practice throughout the province. So if you want to check that out, you can look at our Speech Pathology Association website. That is nbaslpa.ca. And under the Our Professionals link, there'll be a list of all the speech pathologists that are in private practice. So one thing that I commonly hear is that people are not aware that their private health insurance actually covers portions of speech therapy services. So if you have health insurance such as Blue Cross or Sun Life or something of that matter, then speech services may be covered under that. So something to take a look at. So a little bit about how speech therapy can help a child or even an adult with autism spectrum disorder, and some expectations for the services. So as we all know, communication difficulties and social interaction difficulties are hallmark characteristics of autism. And these are some areas that a speech pathologist specializes in. So the goal of speech therapy overall is to improve communication across the board. So this would include receptive language. So this focuses on comprehension and understanding of language as it's spoken to the individual, and also general understanding of what's happening around us in the world. We also focus on expressive language. So this would be the use of words and sentences and how they're put together in an appropriate way. It can either be spoken words or possibly through alternative measures and alternative communication devices, which I'm going to speak about in a little bit. Speech pathologists also will focus on sound production or articulation. So this is just working on overall speech clarity and breaking it down sound by sound. And then we also are able to focus on the social use of language. So these would be things like taking turns in a conversation, being able to interpret, and also being able to use some nonverbal communication. So that's things like eye contact, an appropriate use of that, body language and facial expressions, and how to kind of judge that in a communication partner. Appropriate sharing of interests and taking interest in peers is another social use of language. being able to initiate a conversation or responding to a social interaction is something that we might work on when we're focusing on that social language. And something like imaginative play would also be something that we might focus on, especially in the early years. So ideally, you would want speech therapy treatment to begin as early as possible in the preschool years, and it may continue right up through adolescence, right on into adulthood, as I've mentioned before. So, if you're involved in speech therapy with your child, just going to talk a little bit about what you might expect from those sessions. So because it's called autism spectrum disorder, and it is a spectrum of strengths and weaknesses, and each individual with autism is different, then you would want the treatment plan to be individualized for the child for sure. So each goal is going to be specifically designed to assist a child so that they can function and participate better in their overall life. Most sessions would be one-on-one with the child and the therapist, targeting these goals. It may also be beneficial if a parent can be involved in those sessions, specifically in the preschool years. Treatment does work best when it's able to be carried through in different environments. So not only in the treatment sessions, but in the home, at school, even in the community. So having a parent involved in the sessions is really, really beneficial. You can pick up on the strategies and the tips that they're working on in the sessions, and how to carry that through throughout the day. As a child enters school, the services may continue to be one-on-one, but it's likely that there'll be a lot of consultation with the speech pathologist as well, to be able to provide programming and tips and suggestions to the school staff, so that those people in the child's life can also carry the goals throughout the day. So for the teachers and the educational assistants, and they'll often be involved in the therapy as well. So it may be a combination of the one-on-one with a speech therapist and some consultation, or it may be strictly a consultation approach when they get a little bit older. So that will happen all through elementary school and maybe on into high school if needed. So that's a little bit about how the therapy works. Just a brief little description, but of course if you have any other questions about it, I'd be happy to help later on. And one last thing that I wanted to talk about was some children with autism essentially remain nonverbal, or they're not able to speak at all throughout their life, and or maybe that they have a little bit of spoken language, but it's still very, very difficult for them to get their messages out and be understood. So to prevent some of those behavioral difficulties that may arise from frustration due to lack of communication, alternative forms of communication may be available. So these can be something as simple as signs and sign language to get the message out. There's picture exchange systems. So the most common one is referred to as PECS. So that's the Picture Exchange Communication System, which is just a system of picture cards that can be given back and forth between the child and their communication partner, or they can use sentence strips and have these pictures laid out so that they can get their message across. But there are also some more high-tech versions of alternative communication. So they can be simple a device that has a sentence programmed into it, and just at a touch of a button the sentence can come out. There's devices where you can type out the message and then have the device orally produce that message for the listeners. So there's very, very complex technological devices. There's some apps that can be downloaded on iPads and tablets that can be used. So there's so many options when it comes to the alternative forms of communication. Too many for me to get into here. But if this is an avenue that you feel might be beneficial for your child, or that your speech therapist is recommending, then they can help you work through those options to decide which one might be best for the child at that time. So I think that's about all that I want to talk about today. Again, like I said, if you have any questions about speech therapy, about therapy services, where to access, how to access, who to contact, feel free to look me up. I have a Facebook page, Kelsey Manderville, Speech Language Pathologist. You can send me a message there. My phone number is also listed on that Facebook page, so contact me at any time. I'd be happy to assist you. Or the girls at the Autism Resource Center also know how to get in touch with me. So any questions, let me know. And thank you guys for listening, and I hope you learned a little bit today about speech therapy.